So this week we took a look at the America's Historical Imprints database. And so for my presentation, it would be for the Family Action Council of Tennessee, otherwise known as FAC. I would start off the presentation on encouraging historical literacy first by knowing the group. So that's kind of how I would research for it. So that would mean visiting the webpage of the organization and learning more about what the organization is focused on and what they do. So for fact, the Family Action Council of Tennessee, it is a relatively new group. It started in 2006 and focuses on public policy in the state of Tennessee, more specifically policies that affect families, faith, life, etc. And it is a Christian organization with biblical values. It's what they push. The target audience is families, middle-aged men and women, some older men and women as well. I find out more about who might be attending these events by going to social media pages, especially Facebook and Instagram, where it's kind of picture centric, and just seeing some of the pictures they've taken at events to help you kind of know who would be attending those. The presentation for this would be 20 minutes long. Given the kind of organization it is, I would begin researching something that would be relevant to today. So this would include sermons and anything that might have been written relating to biblical values, church and state, and importance of family. And from that, I did find a couple of sources from America's historical imprints. I would use some of the laws that were in effect in America concerning marriage and children. So the first source from the Shaw Shoemaker database was the General Laws and Liberties of the Massachusetts Colony, revised and reprinted by order of the General Court Holden at Boston, May 15th, 1672. So this source describes many different areas of life, specifically children. So it says, the parents are in charge of taking care of their children, says catechize their children and servants and the grounds and principles of religion, kind of giving that power back to the parents to parent. And then the second document I found that I would want to talk about is the New England Freemen Warned and Warmed to be free indeed, having an eye to God in their elections. It's a sermon preached before the Court of Election at Boston on the last day of May, 1671, by John Oxenbridge, the pastor of the First Church in Boston. So the sermon talks about the people's right view of government and how God is to be understood as the ruler. Oxenbridge uses the Old Testament to make his points clear, pulling from Habakkuk, Exodus. So, for example, I said he talks about this liberty, the liberty that they have of choosing their own magistrates the Lord gave to his own people, using Deuteronomy 1:13 and 15 as his Old Testament examples for that. Something to note with both of these, they're both written within 1 year of each other, and it kind of juxtaposes the laws of Massachusetts with that sermon in Massachusetts within a year of that law, so 1671 and 2. This presentation, de facto, will give background on what the colonies were doing before America and to present new biblical information that maybe they hadn't thought of, as well as explaining some of the prior laws of Massachusetts at the time. So taking just these two, which is plenty for going into detail in a 20-minute speech, brings today into context and would encourage them to go and dig deeper into history, and others would be appreciative of where America started and knowing more about the past history of the Americas. So just giving kind of a little bit of information on both things there. Yeah, well before America's founding, it just kind of helps people to have an appreciation, not necessarily that they are going to go and study something from long, long ago, but just to even appreciate where they've come from or where we've come from as a country. So it'd be a good starting point. It definitely would have to go into detail of what Massachusetts looked like during that time, 1670s, and so supplement with some journal articles and things like that to help learn some more. But those would be really, really cool starting points with America's historical imprints.